Our last top story rounding out our legislative week keeps us in Tallahassee, where House Bill 1117, allowing adult use in Florida, received no hearing and no vote this week. House Bill 1117 is sponsored by Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith. Guillermo Smith's bill would have allowed those aged 21 and older to use cannabis for personal use in limited amounts, as well as licensed establishments to manufacture and sell the product. The bill would have also provided limits on the number of stores and allowed cities to ban them if they choose so. Representative Guillermo Smith publicly commented this week and said that the bill got no hearing, got no debate, and no vote, just like they always do. He explained that despite the bill's failure, it created a lot of discussion and dialogue. House Bill 1117 does have a companion bill in the Senate, Senate Bill 1780. With the failure of this bill, the potential recreational legalization could head toward a ballot referendum to amend our state's constitution. This will definitely be an uphill battle. Smith's co-sponsor on the measure, Representative Michael Greco, said legalization in Florida is coming one way or another, either next year in 2020 or by 2022, either via the legislature or ballot initiative. 33 states and the District of Columbia allow some form of medical or adult use cannabis. Only one of those states have enacted their medical cannabis or recreational cannabis program through the legislature, and that one state is Vermont. In 2018, Vermont legalized cannabis for adult use through its legislature. If we're going to implement a recreational program in Florida, it's going to be done through the ballot initiative. Legislative legalization by itself is nearly impossible. University of North Florida conducted a poll in February of 870 Florida voters and found that 62% of this sample size support legalizing recreational cannabis in Florida. Along political lines, 65 of representatives who were Democrats and 51% of Republicans support legalization efforts. Because the size of our state, with 20 million residents and more than 100 million visitors each year, the adult use market could be bigger to that in states like Colorado, Michigan, and Massachusetts. As you know, we are years behind many states, and Florida could make a serious impact at the recreational level. Colorado, for reference, has collected over $1 billion in tax revenue since it implemented its recreational cannabis program in 2014. Colorado is a lot smaller and a lot colder than Florida. In addition, the legalization movement itself has gone mainstream, with the majority of Americans now in favor of legalizing and taxing cannabis. Poll after poll shows that the majority of Floridians support adult use cannabis. Since this bill failed, let's talk about ballot initiatives. In order to get on the ballot, petitions need roughly 750,000 valid signatures. Once it's on the ballot, it needs 60% of approval from voters. That might seem like a big hurdle, but Floridians voted our medical cannabis program in by a record high of 71% of the vote. Orlando attorney John Morgan has said he wants to put recreational cannabis on the ballot as a referendum in 2020. But it's really not too soon to start imagining what a legal adult use cannabis program might look like in the state of Florida. Michigan recently became the 10th state to legalize recreational cannabis during last year's midterm elections, and medical cannabis is now allowed in 33 states. Representative Greco said, despite the loss, our bill created a buzz. It sent out a message to let people know that there are legislators that are serious about this issue and that we support grassroots efforts to get it on the ballot. 2 nonprofits are leading the charge to get adult use cannabis on the ballot in 2020. Those are Regulate Florida and Floridians for Freedom. Currently, both organizations are trying to get their petitions signed for Supreme Court review. You need 75,000 signatures to get a court hearing. Then, as I mentioned before, around 750,000 to actually get on the ballot. Once review is granted by the Florida Supreme Court, the Supreme Court then goes ahead and, after reading the language, either propose or rejects the state ballot initiative. Now, breaking down both of the petitions, the first from Regulate Florida. Regulate Florida's petition is around 4 pages, and they currently have 67,000 signatures. Regulate Florida's petition has regulations in place that amount to 4 pages of text. By comparison, Floridians for Freedom's petition, the law it wants, is just a paragraph. And I don't necessarily think that's better. Sure, that might be easier to read, but this one paragraph would give the Florida legislators so much discretion in implementing the recreational market. Look what happened with Rick Scott's rollout of the medical cannabis program in 2017. I'll have both petitions linked below in the show notes so you can go ahead and read them and sign them if you want. Ryan Lynch has a nice write-up of this issue in the Orlando Business Journal, which I'll have linked below in the show notes.